Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into a new little segment that I'm doing here. It is the top 10 most important games of the week here for week number 1. This is just my opinion. I really didn't base it off of anything other than the games that I found the most interesting, possibly can be the most influential for later down the line. And then there's also some random Easter eggs thrown in here, just games that I like. But kicking it off at number 10, we're going to go with Ohio State and Indiana. And obviously Ohio State sitting -30. You know, why would I include this in the most important game segment? Well, if you look at the current college football big three, you've got Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama. Georgia and Alabama both breaking in new QBs, but they're playing cupcakes in week 1. Ohio State is breaking in a new QB, but at least they're playing a Power 5 opponent on the road. And also it's a situation where it looks like Kyle McCord will start, but we will also see Devin Brown. So maybe the quarterback future at Ohio State gets decided week 1 if McCord comes out, plays really well, throws for 4 touchdown passes, or maybe he comes out, struggles, Devin Brown comes in and completely takes over. Could this be a Jalen Hurts type situation? You guys remember back in like 2016, Jalen Hurts was like a true freshman at Alabama. They faced USC. They had Blake Barnett starting that game, but then Jalen Hurts came in and just looked really good, and they blew USC out. Could Devin Brown do that? I don't know. I don't really have a dog in the fight, but I think it's very important in terms of that. Obviously, the Buckeyes will win this game. It's not going to be close. The number 9 most important game, it is Penn State at home. This is such a breakout opportunity for Penn State. West Virginia, probably going to be the worst team in the Big 12. Their coach, Neil Brown, is a dead man walking at this point. Probably going to get fired mid-season. Penn State sitting -20.5. The debut of the NBC 7:30 primetime window. Raucous environment there at Beaver Stadium. It just seems so obvious that this is going to be a Penn State blowout win. They're going to announce themselves. This is the first year I've really seen people actually picking Penn State as a legitimate playoff team, me included. I've got both Penn State and Ohio State in the playoff, and this has to be a statement for Penn State against a West Virginia team who I think a lot of casual people will look at this score and be like, wow, that is a great performance for Penn State, because this is a Power 5 versus Power 5 game, but I think it will not be close there. Moving on to number 8, it's going to be Boise State traveling to Washington. I do have Washington making a statement here, but this is a big game, and it's a good opportunity for Washington against a program like Boise State, who you would think Boise State at worst probably going to be 8-4, 9-3 this year, just based off of the preseason expectations and the analytics. If you are Washington, you've got all that talent, you're at home. Do not squander this opportunity. This is a very good game to win it easily, pull away late, and then you've got that win against probably a quality opponent. Boise State keeps winning, keeps winning, keeps winning. At the end of the year, maybe they're a fringe top 25 team, and that win is really going to help you, because we do expect the Pac-12 to be an absolute gauntlet. I would be shocked if any team in the Pac-12 went undefeated in conference. So if they have a loss, maybe 2 losses, a win against Boise State in the non-conference, especially a convincing win, will be big. And then for Boise State, what a huge opportunity this is, but it is unfortunate timing. They are facing a loaded Washington team on the road. I think it's going to be very hard for them to win this game. Washington sitting -14.5. The number 7 most important game, we're going to go with Clemson at Duke. So this is the Monday night game. They always do this with college football where, you know, this week we do not have NFL Monday Night Football because the season hasn't started yet, so they'll put a college game at 8 o'clock. And this is a very intriguing game. You know, Duke at home, Riley Leonard, a decent quarterback. I'm interested to see how this one goes. This could be finally, like, this could be Duke's best home environment in the past, I don't know, 10 years for football. And we'll see if they're able to bring it. Clemson, I feel like everyone thinks is just going to win this game easily, and maybe they will. Cade Klubnik, Will Shipley, a very talented defense. I'm guessing it's going to be closer than expected because it is week 1. You know, last year we had that game. It was a neutral site game. I think Clemson versus Georgia Tech. It was not competitive, but that was more of a situation where Georgia Tech was just terrible. To me, Duke offers a little bit more upside, at least offensively, so it could be a fun Monday night game, and I'll be interested to see it. Also, a rare chance for Duke football to give us a good environment for college football and be in the spotlight there. So that's kind of unique. The number 6 most important game, it is a Sunday game, so there are also Sunday games. This is the 3:30 game. It is Oregon State taking on San Jose State, and I'm going to say, let me just say, I like Oregon State. I really do. It's a tough Pac-12 this year, but they're a team I could see 9-3. To me, it's going to be a scare. San Jose State, they've got a very veteran quarterback. I know USC's defense is terrible. I agree, but still, he played well, and now they're at home against possibly a rusty Oregon State team breaking in a bunch of transfer portal players when San Jose State already played last week in week 0. It kind of sets up like this could potentially be a close game. I do like Oregon State. I do think if they barely win, people will overreact and say that Oregon State's not as good. But to me, this is just San Jose State kind of having a big advantage already playing week 0. They've got so much more cohesion. This would be DJ Uiagalelei's first start. And I do think DJ Uiagalelei is going to have a massive breakout year running the football, 3rd and short. That dude is a bully, and there's not a lot of, well, actually, maybe there is a lot of pressure on him. I don't know. I just think he'll be better than he was at Clemson, you know, just kind of getting out of the spotlight. He's a really good, talented player, and he can run. It's like, he's almost like bigger than Cam Newton, but I have Oregon State winning this one by 3. Could be a fun mid-afternoon Sunday game. The number 5 most important game. Here's a weird one. Texas Tech traveling on the road to Wyoming. So anytime you get a game like this where a solid Power 5 team goes to Wyoming, I'm going to put it on a list like this because it is fun to see. Texas Tech ranked like at 26 or 27, just outside of the top 25. Wyoming, on the other hand, not that great of a team from the Mountain West. They do have a good defensive pedigree. Texas Tech sitting -14, and I think it's going to be kind of a weird week 1 game. Texas Tech gets it done. It's not that I hate Texas Tech. I just don't think this is a great spot for them personally. They're going to win this game, but it's just going to be fun to see a Power 5 team travel to Wyoming, honestly. The number 4 most important game, it is the Battle of the Carolinas. North Carolina, South Carolina. UNC sitting -2.5 in this one, and I do have South Carolina winning by 3, so very, very hard game to predict. It is Drake May and basically no one else. I'm kind of exaggerating. I'm sure North Carolina, you know, North Carolina had that year, maybe it was 2021, when they got like 14 4-stars in the state of North Carolina, so maybe they do have some type of depth, but they did lose a bunch of talent this past offseason, especially on offense. It's like they return Drake May and no one else. And then you also have South Carolina with a bunch of transfer portal guys outside of Spencer Rattler. It's like both the quarterbacks return, but then no one else. And then South Carolina, kind of a polarizing team. They end the season with 2 huge wins, but they still only were like 8-5 on the year, so it's not like they were crazy impressive. I'll go with South Carolina. This is a neutral site game. It should be very close. UNC sitting -2.5. I'm just not buying UNC this year, and I think the only reason they were ranked is simply because of Drake May. The number 3 most important game, it is Florida on the road at Utah. Very important for the Pac-12 in specific. Cam Rising should be playing. Last time I checked, this is a Thursday game, but Utah last year kind of throwing the game away in the swamp, the red zone interception when they were at the 5-yard line. I've got them winning this one fairly easily. I think they cover, but I think this line is trending heavily in Utah's direction since the Cam Rising news. So, you know, I'm not extremely high on Utah this year in terms of their record in the Pac-12, possibly going to lose 3 games just because it's a tough conference, and then you've got a Florida team. I mean, how can you trust Florida to do much of anything with their quarterback situation right now and their roster influx? I mean, they've got a talented roster. They recruit well, sure, but Utah's got, especially after what happened last year, there's no way you can lose both ends of a home and home to Florida if you want to be a good program. Utah needs to win this game, especially for them in the Pac-12. The number 2 most important game, it is the debut of Deion Sanders. Colorado traveling to TCU. I think Colorado +21 is free money. To me, Colorado A lot of people have pointed this out. They have no depth, but their first string, some players are super uber talented on that team. And I think Colorado being fully healthy going into this season, week 1, they will keep it close with TCU, a TCU team who's replacing a bunch, who got blown out last year in the national title. By the way, TCU had about 4 or 5 games they very easily could have lost during the regular season. They had a lot of stuff go right. I think Colorado keeps this game close. TCU wins, but I like Colorado plus 21. It's week 1. The defenses are going to be ahead of the offenses, so it should be a good game. And then the most important game of week 1, it has to be. I'm not going to troll here. I'm going to go with the Sunday night game. It is Florida State and LSU. So LSU sitting minus 2.5. This is the second end of, I guess, a neutral site series, but both of the neutral sites were in different locations. So now they go down to Florida. And they play at Camping World Stadium for this game. Maybe a slight advantage for FSU being in the state of Florida, but I'm sure there's going to be a ton of LSU fans there as well. FSU winning last year. You think maybe law of averages gives it to LSU, but I still think FSU also wins this game. Even though they are 2.5-point underdogs, it's basically a pick. I'll take Jordan Travis over Jaden Daniels personally. And the LSU thing, I'm just not buying the hype this year. To me, people are just not remembering exactly what happened last year. That LSU team, everyone says they won the SEC West. It really is not as impressive when you look back and look at them. That was not a team that was really worthy of winning the SEC West. I feel like they backed into it personally, and that's kind of like people are looking at their team and saying they're returning everyone, so I don't know. We'll have to see, but I'll take FSU in this game 30-27. Those are my top 10 most important games of week 1. Guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.